This week's episode of Wine Wars is sponsored by Winc. Go to trywinc.com/Wine Wars for free shipping and $20 off your first shipment of 4 custom-selected bottles of wine. In our shipment of Winc this month, we got a 2016 Summer Water Rosé, which is a blend of Grenache and Syrah from the central coast of California. This wine has flavors of peach, grapefruit, almost like a Big League Chew back from the 90s, if you remember that. It's got a beautiful, bright pink, almost like wild salmon color to it, and it is the perfect wine for this hot, muggy summer day. If you would like to try a bottle of Summer Water Rosé, go to trywinc.com/Wine Wars for free shipping and $20 off your first shipment of Winc wine. And for more information about Winc, you can listen to episode number 55, where we unbox our first shipment of Winc wine. Cheers. This week's episode of Wine Wars is also sponsored by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/Wine Wars for a 30-day free trial and a free audiobook of your choosing. Whether you want a book about wine, a book about Star Wars, or some third thing, I don't know what you do with your time. Hey, no matter what you want, Audible has you covered with over 180,000 titles to choose from. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Wine Wars.
Previously on Wine Wars.
So are we going to do a word du jour as part of this episode or a mini bonus episode for another?
What is yours again?
Turpin.
Turpin.
Yeah. Did you already know that word before?
Well, because turpentine is derived from the pine substance.
Oh. Yeah.
That's why it's got that funky smell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wine Wars, the show with 4 friends who love 3 things: wine and Star Wars.
Welcome to Wine Wars. You're joining the 4 of us as we sniff, sip, and talk about wine live from our house here in Madison, Wisconsin. I am your excellent host and spectator, and with me as always are Scott.
Hello, Anne. Happy to be here.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I'm just not indifferent. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Over the center point toward happy.
You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, like 6 or 7.
Cool. Cool. Amy, where are you at?
Oh, I'm at a 10.5.
Bonk.
Very happy to be here.
Overachiever.
Well, I just feel like it's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah, it does feel that way. Jason.
Well, moving clockwise, I'm a good 8.5.
Great.
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Great.
I'm really thrown off the curve here. I'm sorry.
I'm like a 7.
Yeah,
All right. It's respectable.
Fair enough.
It has been kind of a while.
In pod time, yeah.
Pod time.
We haven't seen each other in about a month, which probably isn't a lot for like normal people.
What?
Yeah, but we normally
Is that true?
like,
It's been at least a month.
eat many meals
We've had so many
together.
birthdays.
So we haven't potted in about a month. We have seen each other. We did the double dink feature.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. We saw each other not at your house.
For
that was
once.
so fun.
That was
By
fun.
the way, both movies, stellar.
Yeah. So what we did, we took our interns Angela and Forbes out on a double feature night. We went to see Baby Driver.
Oh my God, it was
Recommend.
so good. And after, do you want to tell our listeners what you told me the premise of the movie was?
Yeah. So it's a prequel. So that movie, Alec Baldwin played the baby boss.
Baby boss.
This is about his driver that takes him around town. You know, it's
Little
kinda,
baby Morgan Freeman.
Right, exactly. It's like Driving Miss Daisy, but an animated baby driver.
Yeah, like this is what they were telling me, and I was like,
We
you
went out
wouldn't do this to me, would you?
She knew nothing about the movie.
We went out to sushi ahead of time and we really played out the storyline all the way through
And it was-
to
Andy
the
Dufresne.
3 men and a baby.
Yeah. It was great.
Theme.
Like everyone at the table caught on to the premise that we were pitching Amy, and everyone just kept adding other elements of this fake movie that we were taking her to see.
Steve Gutenberg's in it.
And then if you've seen it, the opening scene is like so fucking cool.
It is so great. I
And
was
I-
like, this is, oh.
I hear Amy down the line, like 6 people down. This isn't about a baby.
So if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, it's not actually about a baby. But so we saw that, which was great.
Great.
And then the next movie was The Big Sleep.
Sick.
The Big Sick.
The Big
excuse me.
Sick.
Which personally I thought was the better. I enjoyed that one more.
Yeah.
They're incomparable.
Yeah,
Well,
you can't
yeah,
really
they're
compare.
just two totally different
Both
For sure.
wonderful.
genres.
Yeah.
So
But both were like, well, that was one of the funnier comedy dramas I've seen in a long time.
Big Sick.
Big Sick. But
So great.
But Baby Driver is one of the better like heist,
Yes.
just overall action movies I've seen in a long time.
and it was intelligent. It didn't talk down to the audience.
Yeah. Kind of felt like the Italian Job a little bit and how cool that was at the time.
How you doing, Ann? You doing good? You want to go on this
It's
Italian
like
job?
you just want to go on this little job with us.
not about a baby.
Drive some Beetles? VW Bugs?
Honestly, I think it's the reason I married Jason. It's his
Sometimes
Marky
I can
Mark
do it.
impression. It's so hot.
What are you trying to say?
We should do dueling Marky Marks.
Dueling Markies.
Welcome to Wine Wars. I'm Mark, where we sniff, sip, and talk about Wahlburgers.
I don't want to
Killed
sniff
Ann.
a burger.
Just totally killed Ann right there. Why would you do that, man? Why would you kill Ann? Just like she's just sitting there, just listening to all your cool talking, and there she was.
Listen, as you're talking, I can't deal with this. I got to do a few reps. I'm just going to do some push-ups while you talk.
There's a Daddy's Home. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Big Daddy's Home.
I think
don't know.
just
I think
Daddy's
Will
Daddy's Home.
Ferrell.
There's a whole scene where Mark Wahlberg is. I mean, it's like a 10-minute scene
He's
edited together, but the whole time he's just like doing push-ups or like
one-handed
one-arm
pull-ups.
pull-ups.
Oh, I need to see that.
with his shirt up, and then it ends with Will Ferrell being like, "You don't sweat."
My body's 100% efficient.
Very.
How
So,
did we go?
anywho, yeah, it
Big
was-
Sick was really good. Genuine human emotion.
Yes.
Laughter through tears, my favorite emotion. Still Magnolias.
It was one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
Agreed.
Like, and it may have been, we had such a great evening leading up to it, but like every 15 minutes I was tearing up and then laughing and tearing up.
Oh,
it was a great movie.
movies.
It was phenomenal.
Great.
Oh,
Really recommend.
And I
Yes.
thought it was an interesting thing you had said, Anne, when we were trying to pitch Amy Baby Driver was about a Ben Affleck, or not Ben Affleck, what's his name?
Alec Baldwin?
Alec Baldwin's Baby Boss Driver. That you said your favorite genre of movie is heist,
I love heist.
which I didn't know that about you.
That wasn't very
Anne
favorite,
really
but
does
I
like
really,
a heist movie. She likes a good Ocean's movie.
or Italian Job, or what's the one with Pierce Brosnan when they steal the art? That's cool.
I know
Crown
what-
Affair?
yeah,
Thomas
Crown Affair. I like that one a lot
Yeah,
too.
and
I liked it.
I like
'cause-
real life heist stuff too. When you hear about some museum getting compromised in Europe,
Stealing a
and-
dolly.
yeah, it's so cool.
Speaking of dolly.
I mean, it's terrible,
they
and I
just-
wouldn't do it. And art's for the public, and tragedy of the commons, blah 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 blah. But it's like cool. Yeah,
Overcoming the odds.
yeah.
And big score.
Creative problem solving.
Moving.
So we've
Moving
seen
on.
each other, but we haven't potted.
No
And this
potting.
is a very nice wine to come back to potting.
Especially on a night where I am literally sweating my balls off.
and a
They're
night.
slip sliding away.
Yeah, yeah. I put some perfume.
What is it? A good
Like a boob
80,
sitch.
82 degrees and humid here in Wisconsin?
It's a lovely summer.
And we
weather.
record upstairs where the heat accumulates.
Yeah. I
And all
think
your
that this
crevasses.
has definitely been the worst Wisconsin summer I've experienced in a long time.
It's pretty sticky.
It's sticky, rainy as
Buggy.
as balls,
Everything
very
is
buggy.
wet.
It's
Mosquitoes are
It's a
awful.
summer that lends itself to ball analogies.
yeah,
Yeah, like if I wanted to feel this way, I would just live in Atlanta.
Right. Or
Yeah.
cozy up to a ball sack.
Scott has wine on his head, which means we need to start talking about / drinking.
Okay.
Oh my God!
Son of a bitch. Sorry.
It's okay.
It
Sorry.
did break.
Didn't break.
Well, okay, so let's talk about wine.
Yes.
Okay.
Now that we're all on edge.
Right. This is a grape I've wanted to do for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say why?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I had this lovely friend who knew things, she knew things about the world. And we were on a thing together, and it was a difficult thing. And so she recommended one day that we, before we went to our thing, go to
The key of storytelling is embellishment.
Well,
Well-
she can't talk about the thing,
I don't really want to talk about the thing.
but she can allude to the story. But she
I
probably
sort-
can't say the name of the thing.
Right.
So anyway, she was like, yeah, the thing blows, right? It sucks.
The event?
Yeah, it sucks.
Okay.
So let's go to Sardine, which is a fabulous restaurant here in Madison, French style and
Thing.
middle of the day. And let's just go there and let's get ready for our thing. So what we did was we ordered a bottle of Viognier and a big bowl of mussels. And we split this bottle of wine, which half a bottle of wine for me is a lot. And but it was just so good. These lemony, creamy mussels and the Viognier we had that day, I remember being very cold, crisp, and minerally. Like in my memory, it's almost more like a floral Chablis. And so I've been wanting to you know how it is. We've talked about this before, like recreate that bottle of wine and that experience. It was just, we just shouldn't have been at this place having Chablis or having Viognier in the middle of the day. So it was like, it was a little bad.
They're being naughty.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just was a wonderful experience and I've wanted to recreate it this whole time. So Scott recommended this grape, and then we said for dinner, I wanted to do this moule frite and try to recreate that meal that we had. And then in doing our research for the episode, realized like probably this isn't the perfect pairing because really this grape is more floral and more fruity than
a Chardonnay, a Chablis.
Yeah, than probably what it calls for, but it still is good.
It works very well, and it is often considered like a middle ground between a Chablis style Chardonnay and like a Sauvignon Blanc, a Gewürztraminer. So it's like in the mix of all those worlds. So it is kind of flexible with food pairing wise. Because like you said, it's a more floral version of that Chardonnay, which geographically, so Viognier comes from the Rhone Valley historically. That's presumed, it's kind of its adopted home. And not too far north is Chardonnay, or is Burgundy. Chardonnay and Chablis, right? A bit further north. So it's considered like a sister city type of a grape. So it's kind of interesting that you said that. So it pairs very well with richer sauces. Curries as well is often very, very well paired with it. And it's a lesser known grape. In fact, it almost was completely decimated from the wine world. So back in the 70s, the only place you could find Viognier was in Condrieu, France, which is on the northern end of Rhone, and they had only 13 hectares, which is like
less than 40 acres.
40 acres, yeah. Right. Like little to no amount of Viognier was left in the world.
The world.
In
the late 60s.
Late 60s, early 70s, yeah. And luckily, it built up. Some other countries started taking it on, and then France started exporting it further south because it's a grape that requires warmer climate. Rhone is often considered like, the haven for Syrah. So wherever Syrah grows well, you'll usually find Viognier growing there as well.
Do we know why it got so low? Like, was it just not in demand, so they stopped cultivating it, or was it vulnerable to disease, or...
It's a fairly low yielding grape.
It's hard. It's fickle like a Pinot Noir. It's hard to grow.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
And it has to stay on the vine really long to ripen. So it's tough to grow.
And if it's too hot, it gets flabby and dull and unfun to drink. So it's just it's a difficult grape to grow.
That's how I feel today. Too hot, flabby, dull.
Hashtag Wisconsin life. Yeah. And it's a lower acid grape than a Chardonnay as well. Yeah. So it's quite often used for blending rather than single varietal, just because you have to be in the sweet spot.
It is really low acid for a white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other thing that I noticed just in like pure tasting of the 4 examples that we had today was they're very different. Mm-hmm. The French one was, and this makes sense, the French one is granite, limestone, so it has the most minerally of the batch, but as you get through the geographies, it's a totally different wine everywhere we go.
It would be really hard to ID blind.
Yeah, I would probably always say this is some sort of a Chardonnay if I was like just blind drinking it.
It is kind of notorious for being tough to blind taste.
Ooh.
So Ed, let's talk about this French one
Okay.
that we're all drinking. So Anne, do me the honors of pronouncing this domain.
Domaine de Montfaucon.
So that this Domaine de Montfaucon is actually in southern Rhone near Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So
Been there, done that.
right, Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So typically you'll find Viognier for the longest time was only found in Condrieu, which is northern Rhone. And then directly south of that is another region called Chateau Grillet, Grillet, which really is just a single vineyard site. So both of those are 100% Viognier. That's all you get from there.
Picked by hand.
And I actually looked into potentially getting a Condrieu, but it was like $60. And so we're not splurging here.
white.
For a white. Yep.
Crazy.
So I opted to skip that, and I found this one further south in the Châteauneuf-du-Pape region. So, like I said, for the longest time, you could only find it in northern Rhone, and it's moved south. So you can get it in southern Rhone. You can find it in Languedoc-Roussillon, which I know, Anne, you dig those wines.
I do.
And we'll have to come back there for some others.
Stupid question, though.
Yeah.
Where is Languedoc in France geographically?
South
West
Of-
of Rhone.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Right, they
right along the
between
Mediterranean,
between Bordeaux and Rhone.
Yep.
Okay. That
but
makes sense.
south of both of those.
Yeah.
And on the coast.
Yes.
Like on the okay.
Mediterranean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a warmer region. So it makes
Yeah.
sense further south in France to get that warmer climate.
Which makes sense why it would work in California
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and,
yeah.
and
So
Australia.
warmer climates,
Yeah.
Australia, California. When you find, so the one we had with our meal, and we kind of talk about, you can give the spiel on that. That was from Washington, a cooler climate. So it is a lot lighter, less floral, a bit more mineral, lower alcohol, which makes sense, right?
I liked that one.
I did too.
And
It's kind of a shame we did it maybe backwards because that one should not have been a great wine. Like everyone kind of on the interwebs was like, that's a 88.
so what was,
Washington's consistently underrated.
Yeah.
so tell us about the producer and everything.
That was we moved the bottle, but it was
Mercer.
a Mercer, which is a Washington wine, and it was a decent. To me, it was a nice bottle of wine. Especially it was like less fruity and mouth heavy than the California one. So probably we should have used the California wine with our Moufri
For the sauce.
for the sauce because
So, yeah,
we used it as a cooking wine to for the base of the
broth.
broth. Yeah,
So we tried to
mussels.
recreate that event where you went to that thing.
The thinger.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had mussels with frites, homemade.
Yeah, Jason's a hoe made them.
We had some really fresh mussels. I thought they were
That was
They
good.
great.
were so good.
Amy handled those
I did.
like a boss.
I kind of did, didn't I?
And so many herbs in this meal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Herbs of Provence
Yeah, the fun-
was one of them.
Yeah,
Garlic.
herbs de Provence was mostly on the fries, but the I took a whole batch of dried herbs, which was thyme, sage, and rosemary, and it was just bundled. Threw it in with the butter and let that marinade
That
with
was
the
so
butter
great.
and the
Kind of infuse into
shallots.
the butter and the wine.
But what it should have been was that with a nice minerally white. And what to me, when we were having this wine, this French minerally white, but kind of more fruity and floral than what you'd get out of I'd say a Chablis.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really nice, bold wine with the sauce.
Right. And it's able to offset the creaminess of the sauce, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, we
it
poured
wasn't
some like
r-
straight whipping cream in there.
A little bit, guys. It was
And
not-
and half a stick.
I mean,
of,
sure.
3/4 of a stick
Sure,
of
there
butter.
was some butter. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, if you're
There's some
gonna
butter in there. But it was
Cook like
it was
the
a super
French.
French dish. Oh, I would like to say that we were in France for a wedding, and we had a good amount of moufri, but we went to Belgium, and that was way the best. Probably the best food I had in France.
Isn't that
was
where
in
it
Belgium.
originated?
Belgian frites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
so.
sure, yeah.
I think maybe they figured that out.
They had
Oh my
that.
god!
But we did
And
a
they
big-
did it like how we just kept it in the pot. We cooked it in and just put it in the
Yeah.
middle, and the four of us like
Oh.
ate out of it.
I think the day we did it, we went on a beer run to Belgium, and we went to Chimay and had Chimay and Chimay.
Oh, cool.
And we stopped at just some weird local pub, and we were super the weird. Everybody's super intrigued by the Americans
There
in
were
the
like
room
10 of us.
because we were a lot of us, and
Very
we were
loud.
and we got I think 3 or 4 different kinds of mussels frites, and all of them were like it was like the most indulgent and fun trip.
It's just a fun way to eat. I just like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
It's a constant singular portion.
Right. And so the way they kind of plated this, Ann and Jason here for the meal, like you put the pot out of the mussels, and then I sat there for a bit. I'm like, so I just dig in one at a time? And you're like, yeah, just, like family style.
yeah.
Take a handful and
It was
dig into
nice
it.
to not use my fork a whole lot tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun,
Yeah.
you know?
But we were still hungry, so then we made a frozen pizza.
Well, we knew we were going to be drinking more wine, and we needed
Yeah.
a base.
If we had had crostini to sop up the booze.
yeah, if we'd had
Poor
crostini.
But we made it work with saltines.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Classy.
I am a classy hostess.
You
You're
are.
welcome. Come over anytime you guys want more saltines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All yours.
So, but the Viogniers typically are fairly low alcohol. So we didn't, the Chateauneuf de Pop, that's something that can be up like 70%.
Yeah, I
potentially.
feel like smart still.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ish.
This
smart
would
as
be
it gets, right?
a good one to drink when you don't want to get too feisty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this domain originated in the 11th century, actually. So the
The
Chat,
11th.
the 1-1. So the castle actually was built as a strategic, like a military
A fortress.
fortress, right, on the border between France and the Holy Roman German Empire at the time. Over the years, it went through various renovations, and then in the 1520s, the winery was built at the base of the castle, and they still had up until still to this day the original cellar from the 15th century that is
I
used for
bet it
barrel
smells
aging.
so good in there.
I want to go to there.
Probably smells
Probably smells like your sweaty sack.
gross.
I'm sorry, were you saying something?
I had an entirely different analogy, so thank you very much.
Sorry.
Well, what do you got?
Was the word musty involved?
Yeah, but balls totally changes the
Musty
game.
sack.
Yeah, musty sack changes it.
Yeah. How about your musty barrel?
It just smells like bunghole throughout that whole thing.
Musty bunghole.
The castle's on the label and so pretty.
Yep,
and
that's the actual castle.
mysterious and imagination provoking.
It is. It's very romantic gothic.
Yeah,
So that sits
looking.
atop the river. It's we talked about it on the Chateauneuf episode. It's such a gorgeous. Yeah. I think that's on our
It's
list.
weird.
To
I was
visit.
never intrigued by that area of the world at all, and now I'm kind of like, I should probably go there.
I think that's on the docket next year for
Probably
us.
Yeah,
really
like
not
the-
touristy.
Yeah, not touristy.
Well, that
I'm
just
guessing.
means they're going to be more welcome to people coming. Like if you go to Bordeaux or Burgundy, it's like it's overrun with tourists, right? Especially if
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the Premier Cru vineyards in Côte de Beaune or whatever. Like if you go to Rhône or you go to these lesser known regions, Jura, just east of Burgundy, they are so welcoming to visitors,
So
and you're going to get
fun.
more FaceTime with the producers or the proprietors or whatever. And so it is actually a travel tip if you're going to visit like Old World. Go to the lesser known regions. They make killer wines. You don't know about them as much.
Right.
So.
Well, and then you have to find a local wine shop that's selling that kind of stuff, and you can get familiar with it because I'm sure it's hard for them to find markets in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the label describes it as citrus, and for me, I'm just more on the melon train on this.
Yeah.
Like smells like a honeydew meets cantaloupe.
Well, I don't know.
And it's
I do get
thick.
a lemon.
Lemon.
Yeah.
But I get
well,
like
I better try some more.
like a mellow citrus.
Like
yeah,
apricot.
Like warm lemon.
delicate.
Yeah, just kind of like softer and rounder, not as sharp and acidic like,
It's like-
citrus normally.
Get like a
would be.
dried apricot.
Seems fair.
Yeah. I mean,
Stone fruit.
Stone fruit.
yeah. But I mean, even like dried apricot, then all the flavor is concentrated.
Right.
And this still has that softness of a fresh apricot.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But like, yeah, not the
It's not as,
tangy
it doesn't
of
have the sweetness, right?
It's like sucking on an apricot pit.
Yeah.
There you go. Nailed it.
Yeah.
And the mouthfeel is thick.
Yep.
That's what she said.
Mhm.
It's what she said.
Not nearly as thick as what we're going to get into, though.
It
Right.
almost is like watered down honey in terms of the feeling of
Yeah.
it.
Like a creamy citrus
Mhm.
kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah, and this is produced, 85% is actually aged in concrete, so a neutral aging vessel, and then 15% is fermented and aged in barrel. So just a little hint of that,
Little oak.
of the oak, a little hint of the vanilla.
Do we
or
know if
spice.
the oak is new or old?
It does not list on the website.
But if you're only putting it in oak for a short amount of time, would you bother with
Sure.
going to the trouble of new oak?
Absolutely. You can, yeah.
Oh.
You just have to vary it up. Each a couple years you have to get a new barrel, but it didn't list on the website, so I'm not 100% sure.
You know what I like about wine is that it's so simple.
Very simple.
Yeah, there's no intricacy whatsoever.
Right.
So this is a 2014 Domaine de Montfaucon Viognier.
How much was that?
100%.
I believe $15.99, maybe $14.99. But you can find it around the $15.
And that's I think a smash.
Yeah. Jason said during dinner this was his, like, he loved this wine. He was going crazy.
I just really like a nice French white.
You do.
That's so
I do.
funny. Remember
But-
when we started this podcast? And
Yeah.
I don't think you would have said that.
No,
Unless
for
it was
sure
champagne.
not. For sure not.
We were talking with intern boy Aaron, a couple weeks ago, and we were hypothetically theorizing, like, if you could only drink wine from one region. He was thinking Italy for him, but then I said, but you don't have as good of white wine, so like I had to go France. But
You do have good white wine, but
Dolomite.
it's not as
as yeah.
like Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Champagne.
Oh my God, you might have to drink an Arnaise if you did Italian.
There's
It is
plenty of
not
other
like
great
Arnaise.
white Italians, which we'll come back to on other episodes. But like something like even the Viognier, like this is so unique and
But I think
nice.
you got him to reconsider his vote.
Oh yeah, he did.
He's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
if you're because
What
so
a
if you're
dorky
gonna,
argument
Yeah.
you two had. I love
It
that.
was really cute to watch them have that moment together.
and I get like if you're gonna stuff yourself into that box, like well then you've got killer heavy reds, you've got killer
Light reds.
light reds, you've got champagne, you've got kind of like
All sauce.
all of it right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
That's
do
what
you-
won him over was all sauce.
it
Yeah.
was. It was.
Yeah.
Good argument.
You had me
Good
at
for
all
Jimena.
sauce.
But yeah.
That's a real
I
Sophie's
mean that's not
choice.
fair. That's just not fair.
Absolutely,
Fucking
Yeah.
There's a reason it's
it is what
number
it is.
one.
They got that thing.
Yeah, that's the thinger.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Do we have to move on?
We don't have to, but I can say a few more things about it while we continue to drink. So again, the soil here. So when we talked about Chateauneuf du Puy,
we could just come back to this.
yeah, it's that gallet stone. So again, very porous material that the wine grows, that the vines grow in. So you get that minerality a bit in there. They use
Which also makes sense for keeping the heat,
Yep.
Yep.
keeping the heat temperature that we keep talking about.
Yep, for sure.
Heat temperature, like I said.
Temperature.
He's
Like a
so
genius.
smart.
It's only 13%, man.
But when you have
Heat
19
temperature.
of them,
It's true. It adds up.
Yep.
You'll see this a lot with the wines, well, at least some of the wines tonight. Sustainable agriculture. They use no pesticides,
Woo!
natural fertilizers, a blend of
Poop.
sheep manure, and compost. So, yeah, check it out. And like I said, the Condrieu is typically the, if I pronounce that right, I don't know if I did.
Condrieu.
Thank you.
Condrieu.
Condrieu
Condrieu.
is really, if you want to
That's it.
find the benchmark for how Viognier is supposed to be, that's where you would go, but it's a bit more expensive. So we traveled a little further south for this.
Well, like a lot more expensive. I had no idea.
3-4 times, yeah.
it seems
Yeah.
like maybe a splurge episode in the future was we should get some.
I would like. I'm
we should just
really curious.
not make it just Viognier, but maybe do a high end white. Like
Splurger.
we're just gonna spend far too much money on white wine, says Jason. And you just get some 3 kick-ass whites.
Okay, but first we're going to do several Supermarket Slammer episodes.
Save
Oh,
up.
Yeah, we
What-
do
what
have
has
a
basically
basement
happened here
remodel
on
coming
the
up.
All
Wine
of
Wars
our
podcast is
dogs
we-
are hurt.
So-
yeah.
So
We
that
spent
being,
all of our money.
Everybody's old and falling apart.
that being
tree fell
said,
down.
you can go to audibletrial.com/Wine Wars for a free audiobook and 30-day free trial of Audible.
If you ever want us to try a nice Viognier, download 10, 12 books right now.
Yeah.
You can also
Thanks
go
so
to,
much.
You can also go to trywink.com/Wine Wars.
Just to keep us in business.
And keep you in wine.
And did we mention the dogs hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get on that in a different episode. I'm too happy to talk about the dogs right now.
Okay.
So where are we moving? Australia
We're
or
going-
California?
Well, I think we should get
Australia.
Cline out of the way.
Really?
I don't know if that's a spoiler alert on
I agree with that movie.
Okay, because okay.
No, we're in too good of a mood to hear that.
Too good of a mood.
All right, let's pour some Cline.
Can I finish? Okay.
Okay.
What is happening?
Oh
today?
no!
not.
Here I'm passing it counterclockwise.
Right.
So Cline, I think most of our Cline is a very renowned American brand.
You're going to see
I mean,
this.
they've been around since '83, so you're gonna find it
Since 83
1983. That's
when-
the same age as the Scooter Kennedy
and Return of the Jedi.
and Return of the
Oh
Jedi.
my gosh.
These are as old as
This
Ewoks.
was before Van Halen's Jump.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
That came
probably.
out at the end of
1980.
83,
I mean,
but was
I would-
included in
My
the year
hypothesis
84.
here is that it was in the can by now.
Babe, I make it my business to know Van Halen things because I want you to want me.
That is
That's cheap trick.
incorrect.
Fuck.
That is,
But
It's a Milwaukee
E for
baseball.
effort.
Thank you.
and you might as well jump
That's the only one I know.
off the building.
Wow.
Ouch.
No, and you just have to roll with the punches.
Thank you,
Van
Amy.
Halen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one either.
Wow. Scott.
getting awkward.
Now you have to.
All right, I'll leave
Jump.
her here, and you're coming home with me tonight.
So.
So anyway, moving on. Jeebus.
California.
So we've moved to California, yes. And Cline is known for their probably Sonoma is where you would say Cline is from,
North Coast.
northern coast. But this is, I think, north of Mendocino. What we're drinking is north of Mendocino, but Cline is kind of known. I think their most prominent wine is probably Ancient Vines Inn. So they have lots of interesting old vine growth vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
The Viognier, which I think is cool. This was, of all the places I went, I tried multiple places. This was the only place I could find a California 100% Viognier. And this is a, $10 wine. This is under $10.
I normally
And Scott loves it.
and I feel bad about this. I really do. Is normally I shit all over California. I don't hate this.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
You're going
Well,
out
it's-
on a limb there.
And I think this works really well with our meal because it is a lot brighter. The nose on this is a lot more potent than the French wine.
It's 82. I was wrong.
What's that?
1982. Not
Oh, I wasn't
1983.
born yet. Sorry.
The Vineyard. This wine is a 16.
Yeah.
We're not-
This wine is not from 1982.
That would be
No.
piss.
So on that note, Viognier is typically supposed to be drunk young,
Yeah.
Yeah.
2-3 years, unless you're getting something from the Condrieu or Chateau Gallet. Those can potentially age, but you want to get these in your mouth quick.
Yeah. Yep.
So California,
I
what?
don't dislike it as much as I did during dinner, and I don't know what's changed.
Well, you're not eating it with food that's
Yeah,
salty
really.
and offsetting the sweetness of it.
You know what's interesting about this? This of the
Smells
of
more
the
complex
three that we were drinking,
Mhm.
maybe four, is the most Chardonnay mouthfeel. Like it's a heavy wine. It is a very light in appearance. It is
Yes, not
it's
colored
a-
like you would expect an oaked Chardonnay.
but it definitely tastes oaked, and I couldn't
Yes.
find anywhere that said it was
I'm
oaked.
sure it is.
Um,
Yeah,
But
but
with camembert cheese. I could totes see that.
Cheese is a good pairing for Viogniers. Yeah. And this is, so when I smell this, it's a lot, way more floral than citrusy. Like rose petally, dandelion-y.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I don't have the greatest of
I'm getting lemon
palates, but
too.
Lemon, for sure. Lemon, citrus in there.
I get candied lemon peel.
Ah, that's good.
One-upper.
Good. No, she's fucking good. I'd go home with her too.
Foodie with an art degree. Sorry, not sorry.
They're saying pineapple on the label.
Okay.
And I'm there. It's this candied part again, the sweet. Even though it's not sweet.
It's a dry wine.
Yes, but the essence
Yeah.
of a candied something's in there.
And low acid. It's not
Super. Yeah, it's interesting about these that they're far lower acid than a typical white wine.
Yeah, normally you drink a white, swallow, and if you just like pause and hold still, your mouth just salivates like crazy. And this takes a couple seconds before it kicks in. I
It doesn't
think
even,
that.
It doesn't even kick in for me that
really?
hard. Like it's just like
It's very subtle. It's not making me slobber all over the place, but I feel it.
It hangs in the back of your throat again, like honey would, like a coating.
It's got that thickness.
I would
Yeah.
definitely say like if you're a Chardonnay, like a oaky Chardonnay drinker in America, this is a fun next step for you to
I
get
would
you.
have loved this 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
This will get you moving in another direction. I think this is a good gateway to other
The
grapes.
rest of the world.
Is this
Yeah.
100% Viognier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the time, what I was seeing in the stores was it was always a Chenin Blanc. They're blended.
Yep.
So this is not. It's hard. I was surprised how hard it was to find actual just 100% Viogniers.
Yeah. So quite often, Viognier is blended, like you said, Chenin Blanc. In the Rhone Valley as well, you get Marsanne, Roussanne. So Marsanne, Roussanne, and Viognier are considered like the Rhone Rangers, the white, the white
The
wines.
Rhone Rangers.
So you very often find those together, and some blends of Chardonnay and Viognier. I think that'd be really interesting to try that crisp minerality of the Chardonnay with the softness and roundness and floral aspects of this. I'm going to keep an eye out for that.
But for $10,
Oh, yeah.
this doesn't seem like
$9.99 or whatever this was.
This
Killer.
doesn't seem like a cheap wine to me.
This would be good if you were getting Thai noodle takeout
Yes.
and a supermarket slammer. That's a good
Yes.
meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're getting some
Absolutely.
curries, supermarket slammer.
This will hold up.
Like I said, this is
actually,
available everywhere.
This, I think, would be a really good book club wine. I think that this would totally appeal to an American palate, even though it's not sugary. It still has enough sweetness in the aroma. And since taste and scent are so closely intertwined, I think that this one would work out really well. Or
It's a
your
big
little
nose.
wine and
It
cheese
does have a big
party
nose.
kind of deal.
And
It
another
definitely seems like because it feels like a wine. Like it's got big nose, it's got big mouthfeel. It doesn't feel like you're getting gypped, right?
sure.
For like a newbie,
there's body to it. There's flavor. There's
you could definitely
yeah.
see like this with some cheeses for somebody just a gateway, like I said, a gateway drug to
Yeah,
wine.
right.
Like this is
I want to be classy, but I have a budget.
right.
You
and
know?
you're like, I didn't want to bring a Chardonnay. This is a fun entry level thing to like. Let's talk about this wine a little bit.
Yeah. And so on the subject of the softness of the acidity, would you like a Wine Wars word du jour? Because you're going to get one.
I would, if you're gonna give me something, give me a Wine Wars word du jour.
And that brings us to today's Wine Wars word du jour.
Wine Wars word du jour. What's that?
Why, that's the Wine Wars word of the day.
Why, that's the bee's knees.
The subject of the acidity of this, there's lots of different acid types that you can find in wine. Citric acid,
Battery.
Lactic.
lactic acid, malic acid. So this quite often Viognier and Chardonnay in particular go through what's referred to as a secondary fermentation, which is not an actual fermentation. Fermentation is the conversion of sugars to alcohol via yeast. So for the longest time, this was something that really confused me in winemaking. Malolactic fermentation is not a fermentation. It's a conversion of malic acid into lactic acid. So it's taking the harsher malic acid in the wine and turning it into a lactic, or like lactose, a softer, like think of a cheese, the acidity in a cheese. It's
giving you a creamy.
Exactly. Combine that with aging wine on the lees, you get that creaminess from Chardonnays and Viogniers.
Oh, that's where the creaminess comes from.
Yep. So this Cline, I would wager dollars to dimes that this has gone through that malolactic fermentation and has been aged on lees in oak barrels to give us this roundness.
Wouldn't it be more expensive if it was aged on lees, or is that not as...
Aging on lees really is... It just means
part
you
of the
leave it.
fermentation
Just leave
process.
it there.
You leave it alone.
That's right. We learned that in an episode a long time ago.
That actually means it's less like physical labor to remove the wine off of the lees. So you just leave it in there. And then when you stir about the lees, it's called batonnage. So you mix it up to, make sure it's touching all of the wine evenly. So it's just someone comes in and stirs it around. So it's not very
With a baton.
With a baton.
Yep, it's not very labor intensive.
Okay.
What point?
It does have that same element, that round cream.
At what point does malolactic fermentation happen?
So
Is it still in the fermentation tank?
Yeah, it typically yes. So it goes through primary fermentation, converting sugars to alcohol. Quite often, the malolactic fermentation will kick in the spring time, and you can induce it. You can buy the materials to induce the secondary malolactic fermentation, but quite often it just naturally occurs, leaving the wine in the barrels or in the cement tanks or wherever you're aging it. It'll just kick in quite often when the temperature comes back up in the spring. So, but for the longest time, that just confused the hell out of me. Malolactic fermentation. What is that? What is actually occurring in the wine to make that happen? So don't even pay attention to the word fermentation.
Right.
Just think of it
Don't even.
as a conversion
From lactic acid to
malic
to lactic. Yeah.
Yep. So that was our Wine Wars word du jour, de moi.
Très bien.
Thank you. So where are we going from here?
Yeah. Are we done clining?
Hey, Anne, if someone offered you that wine, would you decline?
I would cline.
You know what though?
You are inclined?
With this wine,
Recline.
if you're in a restaurant and this is on the menu, this is an interesting wine for certain foods. I think that I would be surprised if that's on the menu, but if it was on the menu and it's kind of a value wine, I don't think it's bad. Like I think it's a fine choice if you're like, we're at a Thai restaurant or we're at a Indian restaurant.
It just tastes so oak to me, and it's so funny because remember there was a day where I just loved things.
Yeah.
You like big
I
love
big
butter.
oak, big butter. But now I just feel like you're lying to me. Like I don't know what grape is in there. I don't know what's happening. You've just oaked the hell out of it. And I don't know. I feel like bullshitted, and it doesn't make me happy. I'm gonna go.
I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's. She just ran away. Did you guys see that?
She can't even.
She dropped the mic and left.
She couldn't. She couldn't even.
But that's a fair, like,
I'm sorry, I dumped it. I had to dump it.
oh no.
Whoa. So
That's something to be said of your desire to see I want to know what this grape is and the region and the terroir, and don't mask it with oak and, batonnage and things like that.
Like, let the grape speak for itself. I want to taste the grape, not the
Yeah.
technique that all went into
And
it.
tonight I am genuinely, I was really trying to find that thing from the thinger that I was telling you about.
Right?
you're trying to get back to the place with the thing.
Right.
Recreate that moment where it,
And it was like, well, that's not it. This is oak. So
you were disappointed with probably 3 of the wines we had here tonight.
yeah.
Because you were expecting a minerally.
All these years I've been saying, I love Viognier. Nobody knows about it, but I had this one and I feel like I know, and it was so great. And then tonight, like none of them were what I remembered. But
Except
Not even the France.
The French one was close.
I think this last one is going to surprise you.
And I love the color of this. It almost
This one looks like
is green.
you have.
It is almost green. It's kind of like grassy.
I was gonna say like
Oh yeah.
you haven't had
Yeah.
quite enough water tonight, but you've had some water tonight.
Like asparagus pea green?
Yeah.
Bad pea.
Yeah.
Not the good pea.
I got. Oh yeah,
I know that color.
Good.
This is my
good.
favorite. This is my favorite.
Where is this from?
So this is Australia.
Well, I
This is
definitely
great.
think it's the most interesting of all these wines.
Yes, for sure.
Ooh.
I thought the French one is probably the kind of the what I would have expected of a Viognier, just buying one. This one is like, ooh,
I like the acid
what's
on
happening
this.
here?
Yep. More
It's
acid.
making me slobber.
Yep. And a little more.
But
It has,
ass
it
crack.
has the floral. It has tennis ball.
Yep.
It-
Okay.
which a
a
listener
little
of ours.
petrol.
It has a listener of ours wrote in, and so the tennis ball result can be a byproduct of Brettanomyces, often referred to as Brett.
We have such smart listeners.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you guys are so,
So
smart.
that is
Stop.
actually a yeast type that can be natural,
you mean
quite
like a-
often in France.
Like a Brett Favre.
Not a Brett Favre, but that can often lead to that plasticky
Chemical.
right?
stuck in a small space for a long time. Chemical.
With a box
Sure.
of Band-Aids and tennis balls.
Speaking of that
fuels.
exact interesting chemical thing in the Cork Dork book, they were talking about how,
Audibletrial.com/wine wars.
Yeah, you should. I actually think of a wine book. If you haven't,
So good.
if you haven't ever listened to a wine book, you should listen to Cork Dork first because it's a really fun way to get into the wine world. A lot of interesting information, a lot of F-bombs, and
Oh,
but it's
you
also
had me at F-bombs
just
and wine.
I mean, that's kind of the most accurate version of
So honest.
the wine world that I've heard. But there's a great amount of information, but the part in there about the tasting where you can, get into different herbs, spices, fruits, vegetables, and like really learn your tasting. And then there's a whole other part of it where you could learn the chemical compounds
Ooh,
where
I kind of like that.
well, there's something to that where like you and probably some of the mass-produced wines they're not necessarily making wines truly
Right.
Yeah, it's not
They're
organic
building
and it's not but it's being like we like this style of wine, so we introduce chemical compounds in order to make it taste like a Pinot Noir from Burgundy
And
or
like a red
Are you
dye number
shitting
5.
me?
Yeah.
But it's a
it-
whole industry.
but it's
Well,
which
it
is
makes
scary
sense.
and sad, right?
Well, it makes
But it
sense
makes
from
a
a
lot of
consumer
sense.
standpoint. I want to make sure every time I buy a X wine,
Consistent.
Yeah.
consistent, right?
I'm buying
with,
a Kendall
Yeah.
Jackson. It's got a
with
it's got a-
beer, you can do that. With soda, you can do that. With wine, like true wine lovers understand 2015, this Domaine is great. 2016, it was not so
And
great.
it's living in the bottle, and whenever you drink it, it could be different.
Right,
And
right.
There are going to be
it's
nuances.
right. So from
Maybe
a
you'll never be able to recreate that moment.
I guess not. And I'm just going to have to remember that thing for what it
You're going to
was.
spend your life chasing the perfect Viognier. It sounds like a really romantic movie that I
does.
want to watch.
It's like unrequited wine love.
But that's kind of what it's about. Is you're chasing something that you can't ever catch because the way it tasted today.
They fucking oaked it all day and twice on Sunday.
Well, even that wine that you would have had that night,
I
right?
know, you're right. Never would.
Living in the bottle. and
you
it's
might
gonna
have
be
it again and
different
it would be
a
totally
year later.
different.
Plus, it is living in the moment that you're having it. What I kind
Which
of
is
like,
we were being naughty.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it tasted
So
even
it
better.
tastes even better. The
We
other
were
thing
looking
that
out
is
over the lake on a sunny afternoon.
the other thing that's kind of fascinating about that whole concept is we kind of are in a laboratory here at Wine Wars. Like we drink wine consistently in the same place with the same uncolored
The same lab coats.
with the same wall that's half
Half
blue, half
weathered white.
weathered white.
Thank you, Home
And
Depot.
So we are in a laboratory where we're experiencing wine night after night,
controlling the
environment. And it's so the only thing that's changing is our emotional responses, right?
Right.
Like
This is interesting.
what kind of a attitude we have. Are we
Right.
in a pissy mood or are we in a happy mood? How good was our dinner with what we were drinking? So that's affecting what we're bringing to the table here.
Right.
Literally.
And
Literally.
that's so much about. So we took part in that Road to Wine Expert Summit, and I listened to a lot of the speakers, and that's what I kept coming back to, is that wine is so much about the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time, all these masters of wine and master sommeliers, the wine is never going to taste better than when you're on the Domaine,
Sure.
than when you're at the vineyard site, because
Yeah.
it's the experience, right?
Yep.
And that's why wine lovers will, we're going to pony up at some point. We're going to buy that $60 bottle of Condrieu because it's the environment. We're going to share it with ourselves and our friends, and maybe it's not objectively greater than this $15 bottle of. We haven't even talked about the
Yeah,
Yalumba.
we haven't, have we?
So this last wine is Yalumba from Australia. Objectively, like if you just put them side by side, maybe it's not that much greater, but it's about the environment that you're in, about the experience you're having with the people around you and the people that you love or that you hate, or that you're skipping work to go have a drink.
Or
And it's
did
like-
I
did not say that. I did not say that.
I wasn't pointing at you.
I didn't even. Oh.
I wasn't pointing at
Definitely
you.
pointing at Jason.
Like it's so much about the experience. The bottle, I don't want to say the bottle is secondary, but the bottle is an addition to the environment that you're in. It's always heightening the experience.
Well, and we did just have an experience last night with intern Aaron, and they brought out a bottle, and it was kind of funky, and we were like, "Woo!"
The Gewürztraminer?
No, the rosé, and
Oh,
they were
yeah.
like,
Funky
"Oh,
rosé."
yeah."
It was a rosé sparkling wine.
Except it had
was so
undertone
weird.
of funk, like petrochemical Band-Aid funk.
Yeah.
Was
And
corked?
No, I don't think so.
no,
I think that was just the style.
but they were saying we specifically got this because we drank this 2 days ago and we enjoyed it so much. And then they came back with, well, maybe it was really hot. The wine was super cold,
Yeah.
and we were with friends, and so now it
Right.
tastes. Our experience is totally different.
But
Interesting.
that is so much the world of wine.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be kind of aware of that.
Yeah.
You have to know kind of where you're going.
you create the worth.
Yeah.
It's the
I mean, there's definitely better wines and there's worse wines, but if you have a great wine or if you have a
Even
shitty
a good
wine and a
wine.
great experience,
Right.
it can bring that up several notches, right?
right. So I don't know how we got onto this, but point being,
Is there a point?
the point
Being-
The point is
It's consistently inconsistent, but some people are trying to make it more consistent by adding chemicals.
Oh,
yes.
yeah,
So that's
you-
where we started. Cork door.
Jeez,
That's where we
soaps.
started.
so
Soberly-tober.
Yeah.
It's because it's 13%,
right. We're
right? And I had that
we're
pizza.
so-
We had
we're
We had an
solely-
Amy's frozen
we're solely sober at this point.
Well,
saltines.
so this Australian wine that set us all off on that tangent. So this is a Yalumba, Yalumba,
Australia's so cool.
Australia. So this is considered the first winery in all of Australia. So they had their first plantings in 1849. And since then, they've had 5 generations of winemakers throughout the family.
For this brand.
For this producer, yes, Yalumba.
Okay.
So the one we are drinking is called the Y Series, Viognier 2015. Their Y Series is typically made from younger vines to show you kind of fresh, vibrant style of those wines. This comes from the South Australia region, which is made up of 18 individual regions, and it pulls from 10 of those. So the more well-known regions are going to be like the Adelaide Hills, Coonawarra, Barossa.
Good.
Wait,
Cabin
this Viognier
Coonawarra.
grapes planted in 10 of the 18 and they're all in this bottle?
Yep.
Wow.
Can you talk to us about how Australia got on that bandwagon?
Oh, well, kind of. So like I said in the very beginning of this episode, back in the 70s, it was very low production.
Yeah, 14
Like
hectares
14 hectares.
in France,
Right.
and that was it.
So California and Australia are actually well known for bringing this to predominance. So they expanded into these other regions. So in the early 70s, there was actually the viticulturist from Yalumba went to Rhone, found Viognier, and was smitten with it and took it back and started doing some plantings. And in the 80s, so they put in 1.2 hectares, which isn't a lot, but it grew from there. They realized that, in this region, this works really well. So again, that warm, hot region. So now Yalumba is considered in Australia really a pioneer for Viognier and really the benchmark for Australian Viognier.
This is so
and I
good.
love this wine.
It's so good.
And
Petrol.
this was, I think, $14.
You guys
What's
really
interesting
had to put that
about,
in a lyric. That's such a cool word. Yalumba.
Australia is really, really getting prominent in the wine world, and these it has a super, I would say, distinct profile. Right? It's got almost like for a white to me, it's got like almost a tart, like almost a green peppery taste to it. Far more stringent, I guess.
Yep.
But like it's in your face way more than what you'd get out of
Just like an Australian would be.
right?
Right?
Crocky.
The label says ginger.
Oh.
That, yeah.
And it totally is.
I was trying to figure out the
couldn't
word.
pull it
what
out.
it
Explain
was.
that zip.
Yeah. Like a clean. Like I'm better for having sipped
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely my prostate is like deflaming. Right?
hashtag deflame prostate.
So quick side note, if any listener wants to be able to use an Australian accent, you just have to end your sentence as if it's a question.
Right?
Oh, I thought that was New Zealand.
I thought that
No.
was Minnesota.
No. Well, yes, but a different inflection.
Oh, okay.
So this is a Viognier from the South Australia region.
That's really good.
It's just you're never quite sure of what you're talking about, mate.
Oh, had a hint of
good.
John Lennon in there.
The mate?
No.
You ever see the video of there was like a guy broke into in Australia, someone broke into a
Can you tell the
surfboard
story
or
with
something.
an Australian accent?
Well, the key is this guy who does the interview. He's on like the local news, and like he tried to stop a robbery or something at a like surf shop or something. He's like, "Oh, mate, you can't just take the surfboard, mate. What are you doing?"
That's my surfboard.
We might have to have a link to
I'll
that.
put a
in
link.
the
I'll
show
find
notes.
it. All right, so here's the guy. I found him. I'll play this real quick. It's about 2 minutes.
What happened?
Oh, well, it's really quite funny. I was in bed sleeping at 2 o'clock this morning. My wife comes in and says, "Oh, the shop's been, someone ran into the shop." And I said, "Oh, what?" So I jumped out of bed and all I had was my undies on, and I've walked out the front and I've seen the car smashed, and I've seen the bloke walking back to the car. And so I've walked outside and I said, "Oh, what are you doing, mate? Like, you can't be leaving the scene." And he goes, "Don't be a hero, mate." And I said, "I'm not trying to be a hero, but the police are coming." And he just decided he'd scoot up the road, and I just said, "Nah, it's not going on like that, mate." So I jumped in my car and I started chasing him up the road, and then he went down a side street, and then the police were coming, and I flashed them and sent them off in the direction of him. But, mate, all I had was me jocks on. I was chasing him up the street, and I'm just like, mate, like...
Because you told me that this is your mate's shop and you didn't want him to get away.
Yeah, no. Well, me mate's mum's had this shop for like 40 odd years, and look at it. Look at
It's fucked. It's a mess, isn't it?
Beyond a mess. Oh, like words can't explain how it is, mate. Like,
Now, Daniel, you managed to put some pants on in the meantime.
yeah, mate.
It's good to hear. Do you feel like a hero?
Oh, not really. It's just something you got to do for the community, mate. It's like you look after your mates, and your mates will always look after you.
God, I almost pissed myself. The actual anchor at the desk has the most like bewildered look on his face. He looks like how I feel.
Mate,
What are you doing, mate?
you're going to want to not do that, mate.
You can't leave the scene.
What?
Don't try to be a hero.
You can't
Spin
rob me and
car.
then run away.
I fucking
Mate.
love that guy.
Yeah, that guy deserves money.
Babe, I'll give you $10 to call me wife.
Me what?
Me wife.
Well, guys, me wife. I'll call you me wife.
Thank you.
Ooh, it's hot.
Thank you.
You call me that too.
Oh, my wife and I, we was just having a row the other night.
We rode all over the place.
Yeah. So, any recap on Viognier?
Like,
Well, I'm really redeemed by this Yalumba.
I love this one, Yalumba.
Yeah. So maybe I'm going to say to listeners to head in a Viognier, Australia direction.
And you should be able to find this pretty prevalently. So, like I said, this Y series is kind of the lighter version of their wines. They have lots of other wines in their profile.
did you say how much this one was?
This is like $15 as well, 14 or $15.
Okay, so a little more than the old $9.99 Cline.
What was it?
Like 15, 14, $15.
That's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's special, this wine.
And it's kind of interesting with Yalumba. They have like 4 or 5 different winemakers. And this is made by a winemaker named Heather Fraser.
Chick.
Yep. It's a female, mate.
Oh, my.
Sweet.
It's me wife.
That broad. My wife is making wine.
And I'm out running in my jocks. I love that guy.
I hope we have Australian listeners who will call us.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just talk for us.
for sure.
Please. I heard that I didn't see this today, but from the past, because I've had this little Viognier obsession, I heard that we grow it in Virginia,
Yep.
in the U.S., and that it's actually kind of like one of the grapes that we're doing on the East Coast of the United States that's
Pretty
actually
well.
competitive and good.
Yep.
Ooh.
You heard that too then?
Yes.
Well, that would be interesting. to
Yeah.
Get our
Yeah.
hands on that.
You can find Viognier. So we talked about these 3 here. America,
We went from
France,
14 to 16 hectares in the late 60s to like
2000.
South
Virginia.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. So approximately there's 2,000 hectares now throughout the world.
2,000?
2,000.
It still doesn't seem like very much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When you compare that to Chardonnay,
But you know what? After everybody listens to this episode,
I know.
people are
gonna
going to be
be
going into their wine shops. Oh, mate.
Where's
You got
all the
that-
Viognier, mate?
I'm just saying.
way down here in my jocks looking for Viognier.
But yeah, you can find it in Italy, Austria, South Africa. It's Washington, Virginia. It's starting to spread around. People are starting to find the right place to grow this grape.
I actually heard that read that it's might have some cross pollination with Piedmont region wines.
That would make sense. South France, northwest
And-
Italy.
The Romans brought it,
Oh,
Yeah.
so it does make sense.
Where did you get this at Steve's? This
Steve's.
Australian? Because
Yep.
I really could. I think I might get it
Might get a
and
case.
also get some pad thai,
Yeah.
and then I might just do myself one night.
Yep. I just like to cheers my mates.
Yeah, congratulations, wine
cheers
warriors!
to my microphone.
Because we took on a new grape and we ripped it a new one. You know,
We found things we liked and things we liked more.
Rate and review us on iTunes, please. That would be very much appreciated. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
you know the kids call it Insta.
Oh, do
Do
they?
they? We are not on the Snappy.
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Audibletrial.com/wine wars or trywink.com/wine wars.
We were on Vine though, and
Vine is gone.
Vine's
Vine
gone.
got rid
Yeah.
of itself. Vine was the best.
I've started to go back and remove our Vine links in all of our
just to make sure.
prior episodes. Well, all the videos
they're
are gone, so
gone.
it's just like dead links.
They were so funny. You guys would have loved them.
They were good.
We were great.
Especially the degorgement one.
This is
I know.
This is why I hate social media.
It was all in
It's
Amy's
like
hips.
we're just like going down this one road, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Yep.
Oh, we do sound so old. We better go. We better go. Get to bed quick.
Thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
This was
thank you.
great. This was a great episode.
Yeah, thank you. And until next time, please remember.
It's
just grape
juice,
juice.
mate.
1, 2, 3, 4. Wine Wars.